Kia ora, I'm David Chaston with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week, get everything you need to know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock with news. Credit Suisse has been sold off at a bargain basement price. There is a deal in Switzerland where their number one bank UBS will buy their troubled number two bank Credit Suisse. It is probably a deal no one wants, however, except the regulator. Their central bank is funding a $100 billion liquidity support arrangement for the merger in a bid to end the crisis at Credit Suisse. At least 9,000 jobs will be cut at Credit Suisse, probably more after the takeover. UBS is said to get their rival for $2 billion, which, given their shareholder funds pre-deal were on the books at $45 billion, the shareholders are all but wiped out, getting 5 cents on the dollar. Senior management is all fired and the board dismissed. Late on Friday, China cut their reserve ratio again to induce even more lending. They cut it by 25 basis points, the first reduction this year. For its biggest banks, it is now 10.75% and its lowest in 16 years. For smaller institutions, it's down to about 7.6%. China also said their fiscal revenues fell 1.2% in the first 2 months of 2023 from a year earlier. Of note is that local governments are finding fewer buyers for land, an important source of income for them as the housing market developments stay in the doldrums. Singaporean exports fell 8% in February from January, much more than anticipated. Year to date, they're down 16%. US data released over the weekend was a touch softer than expected, with industrial production slipping slightly in February and the University of Michigan sentiment survey for March coming in a little weaker than expected. But at least inflation expectations retreated in this survey. The OECD has raised the expansion prospects for major economies from the trim they made a few months ago. This improvement is because they see inflation easing now, but the improvement will be muted because interest rates will keep risks high. However, higher interest rates to squash inflation is the right medicine, they say. The US Treasury 10-year yield starts today at 3.44% and up 4 basis points from this time Saturday. And the price of gold will open today at $1,989 an ounce, and that's up another $14 from this time Saturday, and up $125 or 6.7% in a week. And the oil price starts today down 50 US cents, and just on $66.50 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is now just on $72.50 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar is still up against the US dollar, now at 62.7 US cents. Against the Aussie, we're up at 93.6 Australian cents. And against the euro, we're also up at 58.8 euro cents. That puts our trade weight index at 70.9 and up 80 basis points over the past week. Get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston. That was 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.